Most girls dream of waking up in a billionaire's bed. But for Maya, the dream became a nightmare the second she realized the man sleeping next to her wasn't just her husband. He was her target. $10 million is missing. The alarms are screaming. And as the police helicopters circle the mansion, Silas, the tech titan who plucked her off a rainy Seattle sidewalk, isn't reaching for his lawyer. He's reaching for a gun. But he isn't aiming at her. He's handing it to her. "Finish it, Maya," he whispers, "or they'll find out who you really are."
6 months ago, Maya was a ghost. She slept in a doorway behind a high-end French bistro, wrapped in a threadbare coat, watching the 1% dine on snails and vintage Bordeaux. She was invisible until Silas Vance stepped out of a black Maybach. Silas was the golden boy of Silicon Forest, handsome, reclusive, and worth $3 billion. He dropped a $100 bill in Maya's cup, but when he looked into her eyes, he didn't see a charity case. He saw something else. "You have the eyes of a queen," he told her. It was cheesy. It was scripted. But when you haven't eaten in 2 days, a billionaire script sounds like the gospel. 3 weeks later, she was living in his guest suite. 2 months later, she was wearing a 4-carat diamond. It was the ultimate Cinderella story. The media called her the street-side duchess. The world was obsessed. But Maya knew the truth. Cinderella didn't just lose a shoe. She was running for her life.
The honeymoon phase lasted exactly 48 hours. It started with the clothes. Silas didn't just buy her a new wardrobe. He burned her old one, every scrap. He told her it was to erase the trauma. Then came the training. He hired a tutor to fix her accent, a stylist to change her hair color, and a security team that followed her to the bathroom. Maya tried to shrug it off. "He's just protective," she told herself. "He's a billionaire, he has enemies." But then she found the room. In the basement of their glass and steel fortress, behind a biometric lock, was a studio. Maya managed to slip inside while Silas was on a board call. It wasn't filled with tech or money. It was filled with photos of her. Not photos of her since they met. Photos of her on the street. Photos of her sleeping. Photos of her 3 years ago in a different city. He hadn't found her by accident. He had been hunting her. Maya realized she wasn't a wife. She was a project. When she confronted him, Silas didn't get angry. He stayed terrifyingly calm. "I saved you, Maya," he said, stroking her cheek with a cold, manicured hand. "You were nothing, a smudge on the pavement. I gave you a soul." She tried to leave that night. She grabbed her passport, the one he'd helped her get, and headed for the garage. Every car was locked. The gates wouldn't budge. The security team blocked the exit, their faces like stone. "Mr. Vance says it's too dangerous for you outside, ma'am," the head guard said. She was a prisoner in a golden cage. But Maya wasn't just a victim. You don't survive 3 years on the streets without learning how to pick a lock and how to play a part. She went back to bed, apologized, and started planning. If Silas wanted a queen, she'd give him one. A queen who knew exactly how to dismantle a kingdom.
Maya started digging into Silas's finances. Using the laptop he gave her for charity work, she bypassed his surface-level firewalls. She expected to find offshore accounts or tax evasion. Instead, she found the death certificates. Silas Vance had been married before, 3 times. The media always portrayed him as a tragic widower. His wives had died in unfortunate accidents, a skiing mishap, a car crash, a random home invasion. But as Maya looked at the photos of the previous Mrs. Vances, her blood turned to ice. They didn't just look like her. They were her. Same height, same bone structure, same eyes. He wasn't just hunting Maya, he was recreating a specific person over and over again.
And based on the timeline, Maya had about 3 weeks before her accident was scheduled to happen.
Panic turned into a cold, sharp rage. Maya knew she couldn't just run. Silas owned the police, the courts, and the GPS in her phone. She needed leverage. She started embezzling. Small amounts at first, then millions, routing them through a series of street contacts she'd maintained from her old life. She wasn't just taking his money, she was buying an army. The night of the annual Vance Gala, the mansion was packed with the global elite. Champagne flowed like water. Silas stood on the balcony, boasting about his new AI security interface. "It's foolproof," he told the crowd. "Total control." At that exact moment, every light in the house went black. The street contacts Maya had paid, a crew of elite hackers and former cons she knew from the underside of the city, hit the system. The biometric locks flipped. The security feeds looped. Maya slipped into Silas's private office to grab the hard drive that proved he'd murdered his previous wives. She had the evidence, she had the exit strategy. She was at the window, ready to vanish into the night. But Silas was standing in the dark, waiting for her. "I knew you'd try it," he whispered, the moonlight catching the barrel of his silver revolver. "The others were too weak. They just cried. You have that spark. That's why you're the one I'm keeping forever."
He forced her to her knees. The police sirens were getting closer. Her hackers had tripped the silent alarms as part of the plan to get the authorities there to witness the evidence. "They're coming for you, Silas," Maya spat. "I sent the files. It's over." Silas started to laugh, a deep, guttural sound that didn't match his polished persona. "Maya, honey, who do you think hired those hackers? Who do you think left those death certificates where you could find them?" Maya froze. "I don't want a wife," Silas said, leaning in close. "I want a legacy. My company is tanking. The board is kicking me out. I needed a tragedy. Beautiful former homeless girl who lost her mind and tried to rob her savior, leading to a tragic murder-suicide." He pressed the gun into her hand. "The files you sent? They aren't evidence against me. They were a confession from you. Digital trails showing how you obsessed over my late wives, tried to replace them, and eventually snapped." Maya looked at the gun. She looked at the door. She realized the army she thought she bought was actually on his payroll the whole time. He hadn't just trapped her in a house, he had trapped her in a narrative. "One shot, Maya," he urged. "Make it look like a struggle. I'll even let you live in a private psychiatric facility for the rest of your life. It's better than the street, right?"
The door burst open. The SWAT team swarmed the room, red lasers dancing across the walls. "Drop the weapon!" they screamed. Maya looked at Silas. He was smiling, the perfect victim to be. She didn't drop the gun. She didn't aim at the police. And she didn't aim at Silas. She aimed at the high-pressure gas line for the outdoor fire pit, visible through the floor-to-ceiling glass. Boom! The explosion shattered the glass, sending Silas flying backward. In the chaos and smoke, Maya didn't run for the door. She ran for the edge of the balcony, leaping into the dark canyon below. 3 days later, the news reported that Maya Vance had perished in the blast. Silas Vance was hailed as a hero who survived a disturbed woman's attack. But miles away, in a dingy motel room, a woman with dyed black hair opens a laptop. She logs into a bank account Silas didn't know about. Not the one she stole from him, the one his first wife set up before she disappeared. Because Maya wasn't a random girl from the street. She was the daughter of wife number 1. And she didn't come for the money. She came to make sure that when Silas Vance finally dies, he dies knowing that his perfect project was actually the one who finished him. Maya types a single command. The screen glows. Uploading real evidence. 99% complete.
She smiles, walks out the door, and disappears back into the streets. Only this time, she's the one holding the leash.